Hello, and welcome to this short video which describes the user interface on the Definitive Human software. The Definitive Human and the head and neck share the same interface. There's only a very slight difference with the head and neck software, and we will be describing that in a later video. The objective of this video is to provide you with enough information so you understand the basics of the user interface. When you start the software, you see the 3D Human in the center of the screen. On the left, we have the Anatomy browser, and on the right, we have Toolbox. If you click the tabs in the left with the left mouse button, or the right, you can hide both the Toolbox and the Anatomy browser. If you double click with your right mouse button, you can hide both and bring them back. So now we're going to focus on the Toolbox so I can hide the Anatomy browser. Let's discuss the different Toolbox options on the right of the screen. The first option is your camera view. If I click on this, it's highlighted blue. And ideally, to use the Definitive Human software, you need a 3-button mouse, ideally with a center wheel. Now, if I use my left mouse button, I can rotate the anatomy. If I use my middle mouse button, then I can pan. If I double click with my left mouse button, I will zoom in on the area that I have double clicked. I can then rotate again with the left mouse button, and I can use my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. If at any time I get lost and I want to get back to my center position, just press the home button. So let's make sure the top camera view is selected, which it is. I'm going to double click on the head, pitch it down, and just zoom out slightly. I'm now going to select this item here, which is the selection item, which looks like a scalpel. Make sure drag element is selected, which it is up here, and then you can start to remove items from the Definitive Human. Let's move the brain to here. Now if I double click, I click my camera up here again, and I double click, then I zoom right in, and then I can rotate. Because I've double clicked, my rotation point now is whatever anatomy I've just double clicked. I'm going to zoom out again with my middle mouse button. And then I'm going to pan the screen into the middle. Scroll in a little bit. There we go. If I press the scalpel button again, I could choose hide other elements. And that means that when I select, everything is going to disappear apart from the item that I've selected. I'm then going to zoom in on that item, and I'll move from the selection back to the camera view. Let's select the brain here. Everything else disappears apart from the brain, and I'm now able to orientate the camera. Let's go back to this view here. I'm going to do show all elements and zoom back out with my mouse wheel. If I do show hide label, I can select an item and the label will appear over that item. I could do hide all labels, and I can also do show all labels, but because I've got so much anatomy on the screen at the moment, that will just cause too much clutter. Let's look at this option here. This option puts all parts back to their original position, but it keeps the camera view where it is. So that's the difference between the home button and this reset button here. So if I press this button, my camera view remains the same, but all anatomy is returned. If I press the pen button, I can then choose a color and I can write or draw on the screen. This is very useful in a classroom environment. You can erase either an individual element or you can remove everything. Let's click back on the home button and then let's look at the next option, which is the male-female button. If I press this, it will switch between male and female. My female model, and I can interact in exactly the same way as the male. I'm going to press it again and switch back to the male. The home button I've already explained. The next button is a slideshow button. If you click the slideshow, I then get a number of predefined camera points. If I click the skeletal system or skull front, you can see how you can have predefined slides in a lecture. Now we will have a separate video which goes into how to use the functionality within the slides in a bit more detail. But for now, you can choose which predefined view you want to look at. Or we can just go back to home and I'll turn the slides off. Our next option is the explode button. If I pull my slider, all items, all anatomical elements will explode and move outwards. Okay, so this is a nice way to see all the various parts of the human anatomy that have been created. Click back on the home button. The next option is the gizmo, which hides or shows the gizmo in the top right hand corner. Some people like to use these, some people don't, so I suggest that you experiment with it and see how it works. You can, if I wanted to look underneath, I can just click bottom and I can keep spinning this round by touching it there. If I want to look at the back, just click on the back. If I want to turn my model, look on the right side. The next button is the auto rotate button. At the moment, if I move my mouse and my mouse still has velocity, when I let go of my left mouse pointer, nothing happens. But if I turn auto rotate on and turn the model, then the model will continue to turn. Some people like this and some people don't, which is why we've added the functionality to be able to turn this on and off. The third from last option is the help button, which gives you information on the software. It gives you a link to instructional videos. It also gives you a link to complete a questionnaire, which gives us feedback so we can improve the software. And then there's information about the camera mode, selection mode, explode and slideshow, etc. I'm going to click close at the bottom here. Penultimate option is an option which allows us to set the resolution of the software. So here I've got mine in the highest resolution, and I've also, you can choose how the quality of the rendering. If you're interacting with the Definitive Human and it's really struggling and you're getting a very low frame rate and it's very jittery, you can try reducing the graphics quality or potentially reducing the resolution. You need to experiment with these until you get something that you're happy with. It will really depend on the quality of the graphics card that you have in your computer. The final option exits the application. As I said at the beginning of the video, we will do a dedicated video on the anatomy browser, but I just wanted to give you a very brief overview of how we can use it. At the moment we have isolate selected. We have systems and regions. If I keep it on systems, and we isolate skeletal, I can see the skeleton of our definitive human here. If I then click on toggle, I can then toggle the viewing of, for example, cardiovascular. So now I've added cardiovascular, or I might add the lymphatic system. If I double click, and zoom out, and then pan, I've now got a wonderful visualization, 3D visualization of skeletal, cardiovascular, and the lymphatic system. If I double click here, you can see right in to the heart. And then if I wanted to dissect from there, I can do that. Let's show you that again. So I make sure that I'm isolating. I'm going to isolate skeletal. I'm then going to toggle on the cardiovascular and the lymphatic system. I'm going to show you one other option, which is the fade option. So if I click this fade button here, it then loads up a transparent model of the definitive human. And this is a very beautiful visualization of, as I said, skeletal, cardiovascular, and lymphatic system all in situ within our definitive human. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful, and you should now have a basic understanding of all the functionality within the software. One other item I should mention is you have the classic undo and redo options. Okay, so for example, if I move an element, so I've got selection selected here. If I just move an item of the skull, for example, out here, I can always click undo to put it back. You can also press, if I take a tooth out, take a couple of teeth out, zoom in a bit. I can also press Ctrl and Z to put them back. If I press Ctrl and Y, that's a redo option. So there we go. Hopefully you found that video useful. Thank you for watching.